Welcome to Sino-Warfare with Ralph D. Sawyer. Employing agents invariably poses problems, but Chinese strategists felt certain they could be resolved with effective control measures. Thus, Hua Yue said, quote, "If those who excel in control can eliminate the evil aspects while employing diverse capabilities, harvest the profits but block the harm, everyone under heaven will become a military resource." As already glimpsed in the process for employing agents, material incentives were generally considered the prime motivator. Sun Tzu was the first to assert SpyCraft requires them when he said, "Of all the three armies' affairs, no relationship is closer than with spies, no rewards more generous than those given to spies." A chapter in the Warring States Kwanzaa succinctly describes the impact of fiscal incentives. Minor campaigns occurring within 1,000 li are quickly known. Substantial wall construction, gatherings of 10 people, will be spied out within 5 days. Major campaigns anywhere under heaven will also be known within 5 days. This is because the ruler disperses gold and material wealth in order to employ those who have acute hearing and sharp eyes. In discussing how to recruit local guides and local spies on a long-term basis, Li Chuan pointed out the danger that they and defectors, who are also mainly motivated by money, might be traitors. He said, "Reward them generously to gain their willing allegiance, but be prepared to strictly guard against deception. Bestow offices and ranks upon them, enrich them with wealth and goods, and cause them to have things they cherish. Match them with wives and children, and cause them to have people they embrace. Thereafter, investigate their speech, examine their countenance, turn their words upside down. If they are consistent throughout, from beginning to end, they can be employed." As measures already take us into the realm of control. But first, it should be reiterated that traditionally, in turning agents, financial incentives played the crucial role, rather than prospects for a better life or ideological issues. Respect and purported friendship were also seen as psychologically useful in gaining the allegiance of men whose traitorous behavior could end in torture and execution for both them and their extended families. Overtly turning agents was the normal course, but manipulation and clandestine observation were also employed, as we already discussed. Xu Dong's Employing Spies outlines 8 methods for employing covert agents, all of which merit careful study, but are too extensive to reprise here. 2 discuss how to manipulate and convert enemy agents. Okay. When enemy agents come to spy on you, pretend not to realize it. Instead, allow them to acquire information about a fake plan. Thereafter, unexpectedly attack their forces, thereby turning their agents around so they speak as if they were your own. Second, when enemy agents come, bribe them generously to compel them to betray their missions, thereby spying on the enemy while again converting their agents into your own. Now, in the first case, they're duped and oblivious to their role. However, in the second, they're willing converts, essentially what Sun Tzu termed turned agents. Xu's chapter, Deceiving the Enemy, expands the first of these. Warfare is the Tao of deception. When an enemy emissary comes, secretly treat him as if you were a powerful minister. Generously ply him with treasures, and show him great gifts. Converting doubt with manifest sincerity is the technique for tying them up. When you've convinced him to believe you, when he has no further doubt, you can delude him by apparently leaking state secrets. Now, earlier, the great Tang Dynasty commander Li Jing had suggested a similar approach. If the enemy dispatches emissaries with requests, detain them and have people constantly accompany them. They should act courteously and congenially attend them morning and night, taking good care of them, while we double and redouble the bribes and the gifts that suit their tastes. Constantly observe their countenance and words and investigate them. But early in the day and late at night, we should see they are always alone with our chosen attendants. Also dispatch men with acute hearing to conceal themselves in the double walls and listen to their leisure talk. When we've delayed their mission, they'll fear being doubted and reprimanded by their governments, and they'll certainly discuss their affairs among themselves. When we know their real plans, we can send them back. and use the information for our purposes. Now, although double agents have inordinate value, their employment poses something of a dilemma because they might be pretending to cooperate, or they might be expendable agents planted to spread disinformation. As discussed above, one method for guaranteeing their authenticity is comparing the reports received from double agents with those from other sources until their veracity has been attested. There's also a special class of defectors, men who've been subjected to degradation or physical punishment in what is known as the ploy of suffering flesh, or kuroji. In some cases, the defector willingly undertakes the deceit out of loyalty to the state. In others, their defection is real rather than feigned. This results from inflicting corporal punishment upon an unwitting individual, who's then allowed to flee to the enemy, where he naturally divulges whatever information he acquired. It might be intended to obfuscate the enemy, or designed to prompt them into undertaking some action. However, anger and a desire for revenge are the actual motives. Although famously implemented prior to Cao Cao's unexpected debacle at Red Cliffs, the technique didn't become a name ploy until the Qing dynasty's 36 stratagems. However, Shudong described the process in his Song Dynasty chapter, Deceiving the Enemy. Select a courageous and daring officer for an intendant. Then suddenly pretend to be angry and have him beaten with a bamboo whip until blood is visible. Afterward, secretly let him sneak away to the enemy. In addition, imprison his wife and children, so that when he hears about it, he will be angry and divulge any secret affairs he formerly heard. To establish the veracity of what he divulges, Shu advises creating a facade, acting as foretold at the right moment, but then secretly sending forth elite troops to strike where unexpected. Assassins also merit mentioning because of their traditionally close association with intelligence efforts. Though they often claim to be motivated by righteousness, they generally tended to act out of request for recognition, for doing the impossible, as well as gratitude for their worth having been discerned despite their lowly status. It's a subject I discuss extensively in my forthcoming book, Assassination, Murder, and Lust in Early China. Despite their importance, financial incentives weren't the only effective motivator. In fact, integrity, righteousness, virtue, and wisdom were considered crucial. Somewhat more broadly, the three strategy states, one does not employ righteous officers with material wealth alone. The righteous will not die for the malevolent, nor will the wise make plans on behalf of the obtuse. Nevertheless, over the centuries, military thinkers, including Zhuge Liang, emphasized moral leadership and righteous causes as fundamental to intelligence efforts. When Sun asserted that properly managing agents requires talent and character, he added that interpreting the data demands wisdom and perspicacity. Quote, unless someone has the wisdom of a sage, he cannot use spies. Unless he is benevolent and righteous, he cannot employ spies. Unless he is subtle and perspicacious, he cannot perceive the substance in intelligence reports. Shudong concurred, quote, without sagacious wisdom and moral worth, one cannot employ agents. The Tao for employing agents lies in the subtle, secretive, clandestine, and submerged, all of which have long been stressed by the best generals. Naturally, all the constraints appropriate to the assessment process, such as avoiding being blinded by desire, prejudiced by preconception, or affected by emotion, apply. Secrecy, which must characterize all the Army's activities and the commander's plans, was always regarded as crucial. Sun said, no affairs are more secret than those pertaining to spies. And he added, if the mission is exposed before it begins, the spy and those he informed should all be put to death. Later writers, including Li Chuan, agreed, quote, among those serving in the three armies, none are more important than spies. Among secrets within the three armies, none more secret than spies. When plots involving your spies have not yet been set into motion, anyone who leaks them, as well as all those they informed, should be executed. On the day you initiate the plot, destroy the drafts, burn the copies, and silence their mouths. do not allow internal plans to leak out. Later, the Ming Dynasty, Wu Beitriao, reiterated, the methods for employing spies are not singular, but the crucial point is preventing people from fathoming them. The subtle essence is secrecy. The question then becomes control because, as noted in our previous talk, it was generally recognized that spy work requires people to pervert their morals and perform brutal and inhumane acts. Either sociopaths must be coerced into following directions, or good men motivated to do what they otherwise abhor. In the broader context of military action, Zheshuan pondered this problem. In his meditation on the term control, in the 100 Tactical Terms, he writes, there are 5 ways to control them: virtue, public spirit, righteousness, administrative measures, and authority. Other than Schertzeme's lengthy disquisition on spies, really China's third dedicated contemplations of spies and intelligence, an insightful entry in the late Ming Dynasty, Cao Lu Jinglue, offers the best summary of the methods that can be employed to manage agents and evaluate their material. It's therefore worth quoting at length. When the 5 types of agents are employed, you must assemble all the data and probe for similarities. For any affair, you must multiply the number of agents employed in order to discern whether their words cohere or not. Only then will you begin to attain the truth. When the 5 types of spies are kept ignorant of each other, and your living spies, unaware of each other, also gather information about various matters and forward it, each reporting what they have heard, you can begin to compare commonalities and evaluate differences and ferret out the true and false. Why is this? As soon as agents become aware of each other, they inevitably compare their findings and skillfully employ their craftiness to make them cohere, and thus in turn deceive you with their reports. Therefore, you should not unify your agents. Only you should know who they are. You should question them in detail, observe their sincerity, and evaluate their information in accord with appropriate parameters in order to discern the subtlest points. Somewhat more problematic are agents who were captured and managed to escape. Li Jing offered some suggestions for grappling with this situation on the expectation that the unfortunate individual had either been coerced or bribed into divulging his role and also other information, or he had been seduced into long-term employment. Li Jing said, you should not heed the words of any agent who was captured by the enemy but later returned. However, if you do manage to receive true information through him, you can reverse your course and employ it. This concludes our summary examination of the crucial issues in spies and intelligence as conceived and implemented in traditional China. While hopefully reasonably comprehensive, it's impossible to plumb the depths or study the details that made spycraft surprisingly effective over the centuries. For that, I can only recommend my massive book on the subject, The Tao of Spycraft, and Zhu Fengjia's Book of Spies in translation. Nevertheless, the upcoming talks on deception, which fundamentally powers all spy efforts, might be of interest. As always, thank you for watching.